1, and we are back.
Doom Nation. All right, we're here today in the captain's quarters.
Yes.
It's been a crazy week. Thank God our show is about current events because there's a lot of events going on.
Yeah, currently the world has lost its fucking mind.
Yeah, the Predator's coming. It's the hottest summer and there's a lot of violence going on right now.
You said the Predator's coming?
Yeah.
Well, like from the movies?
Yeah, from the movies, yep. But, all right, so if you guys saw our Instagram at 2DoomedMen_podcast, you saw we were going to have 2 doomed guests, but one of them had an Antifa meeting because he's a pussy.
Definitely.
And so we only have one doomed
radical
guest. Yeah. So while he's out being a radical, burning and spray painting statues, we got Mr. Jaime here from Three Pendejos. Say what's up, man.
What's up? Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, as always.
How are you guys?
Jamie's been on a couple episodes with us before.
Yeah,
He's always a solid contributor.
I heard you had a lot to rant and rave about, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I do at this point.
Yeah, me and Jamie had a couple of really good texts this week.
Yeah.
About shit going on.
And also, congratulations, episode 50. You
guys
guys
thank
have been
you.
at this for quite some time now.
Quite some time. 50, it's a lot. We were doing 2 a week, now we went back to 1.
Yeah.
Because we need to slow down.
Because you guys have lives.
Dude, that's what I was saying before. It takes like so much dedication to do 2 a week. And you guys were always hammering out 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like clockwork. Bam,
like
bam,
an hour and a half. But
Yeah.
it's fun. I mean,
Well,
we enjoy it, right?
cheers to 50.
Hey, cheers to 50.
And cheers to 20 for us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you.
And cheers to Zulo, too. Hey, cheers,
Yeah,
bud.
where is he?
Yeah.
He's right there.
At
Yeah.
the Antifa meeting.
Yeah, he's got the Lord of the Rings ring on, so
And-
you can't see him.
Yeah, he's drinking
And
milk.
today we're drinking Partida, tequila, and Nejo. Quite the tasty beverage. I'll leave that right up here.
It doesn't taste like tequila, though.
No,
That's
the
weird.
dangerous part.
I'll be honest with you, it really doesn't. Is this the Rocks tequila? No.
No.
Which one? Whose is this? It's just
This
the
is Mr.
Partitas?
Partitas.
Okay. All right. Well,
It's
pretty
good. Yeah.
Anybody want ice?
Yeah, I'll take a
That's
couple.
me.
Yeah.
Go Bobby Boucher.
Before,
You reach in there.
Oh, sorry.
Get your own germs in
The
there.
Rona. I forgot.
Yep.
I forgot to wear my gloves.
Yep.
Oh.
As we just make a mess.
Don't
All
matter.
good.
All right.
Wingo.
We got a lot of shit to talk about here,
Yeah.
boys. Let's get to fucking business. As
What did
usual.
you want to start with?
I want to start off with the fucking fireworks. Because,
All right.
boy, this week I'm out of control. I can't take the complaining and whining and conspiracy theories going on about fireworks, specifically in New York City. If anybody's not familiar with it, if you guys are not familiar with it, especially on Twitter, people are making a whole bunch of accusations about what's going on with fireworks.
Yeah.
Before I get into my rant about it, I want to hear the retarded shit you're going to say. So go ahead.
All right, so first off, though, is it only happening in New York?
No.
Okay, so it's happening
So it's happening
everywhere.
by you, right?
I'm going to get into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so I, funny enough, have my own conspiracy theory on this matter because it's very suspicious and things are. It's not that it's super suspicious, but I've come up with something in my own time, and so obviously we have the whole defund the police and the police aren't as active anymore. And there's just crime sprees everywhere. I mean, Chicago had 140 shot over Father's Day weekend. All this crazy shit's happening just in the Bronx and you're in your neighborhood, Jamie.
Yeah.
And so you hear every night fireworks. People are eventually going to be desensitized to this. And first off, for everybody who stormed Bill de Blasio's mansion and were laying on their horns.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys.
One thing we
Cheers.
all agree on.
I think we're gonna do a lot of cheers
Yeah.
today.
One thing everyone here
cheers.
agrees on, that guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm down to go there with
He's got
air
one
horns.
more year.
Yeah.
He's got one more year, and he gets back into office. I'm leaving regardless, but like I was telling you guys earlier,
There's always some sort of animal on our podcast.
we had the
Rooster. R.I.P. Rooster.
R.I.P.
Go ahead. Finish your...
Yeah.
So-
So as I was telling you guys, in my neighborhood, we just recently had 13 vehicles broken into. Okay, in one fucking night. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely unbelievable. And because you have the criminals now, where it's like we can do whatever the fuck we want.
There's no fear.
And we're gonna have, there's gonna be no consequences. Now, where does that lead us, right? So, someone like me, and I have to worry because I just bought a brand new car. You know what I mean? And I found, I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook, but I found a to-go kit, a Narcan kit. So what does that mean? Okay, I found it by my driver's side door.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah.
Okay, This is a to-go kit for Narcan. It means there's a junkie that was by my car looking into my car.
Oh, nice.
And probably, I don't know if he was high, probably sniffed it and then just fucking dropped it on the floor. Yeah. But I don't believe in a coincidence, right?
What is a Narcan kit exactly?
It's a public, it's supposedly you can get it at a pharmacy because a lot of people who commented on that status are actually EMTs. That's why I put the status. Right. I wanted to know what it was.
Right.
So if you need it, you can actually get it, and I'm assuming it's free from the city.
It's drugs. It's basically drugs.
So what Narcan is I think it's for if I'm not mistaken, like opioid and like I think mostly heroin. You just sniff it through your nose, and it manages to get you awake from the overdose. So it saves your life basically, but it's like. This is free.
Yeah.
And the guy's looking at my car, and then I remember I texted my landlord. I was like, hey, man, can you check the cameras? Because I think someone was looking at my vehicle, and now I have to worry because I have stuff in the back of my car, and I'm just going to... Of
course.
Tonight, everything's going to go upstairs.
Yeah, don't blame me.
Now I have to worry because also, too, I go into work early in the morning. I'm out of the door by 4.
Maybe
if I happen to find one of these guys... Yeah. If the cops are not going to do anything, I feel obligated to do it because my whole block is elderly people and retired people that probably don't want no part of it. Yeah. So it's like now I have to worry about the whole block. You know,
you're
going to
start seeing more vigilantes, but yeah, it's ridiculous because now this was the problem, and I mentioned this on another podcast. The whole defund the police. People don't understand defund the police is a budget cut. They think it's, time to do whatever you please, do whatever you want. And so with this whole firework thing, I think there's a full conspiracy behind it.
Yeah, let's get back into that. Yeah. Hit me with it.
So, all right, we know that people were leaving pallets of bricks around for the riots and stuff like that. Now, they obviously got caught, so I think there's somewhere along the line it's more secretive now, because I don't know where people are getting the fireworks from. There's still a lot of variables to work out, because you can't be buying these type of fireworks in New York either, but it's happening everywhere, so some states are easier to get the fireworks. So I think they're just giving them out so people will use them, and the cops aren't going to do anything about them, and then come 4th of July, I potentially believe, especially if the cops are talking about going on strike on 4th of July, which I don't know if that's really going to happen. I've asked some of the cops that I know, and they just happen to be off, so I don't know what the real deal is, if anyone's going to actually go on strike. But I'm telling you, if the police go on strike, that's going to be an actual purge night. Mm-hmm. It's people are going to lose their minds. So with the whole firework thing, if fireworks are if you're not getting in trouble for shooting fireworks on 4th of July, everyone's going to go ballistic, right?
With fireworks.
Right. What's the perfect cover for gunfire? Fireworks. I feel that there's going to be some mass false flag operation that's going to end up attacking the Second Amendment or something, or just dangerous shit going on under the cover of fireworks, and people just getting exterminated left and right.
Well, let's look at the hard facts, though. You don't even need the fireworks.
Yeah, at this point.
Shootings are surging.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories of this shit. You definitely have kind of the conservative conspiracy theory, I'd say. You think some sort of false flag. And who's going to carry out this false flag operation? Your best guess.
Honestly, this is probably going to be one of my most
Because a false flag is usually like the government does that.
And this is probably going to be one of my most biased episodes. The Democratic establishment, all assets are deployed recently. You got to think of how crazy things have gone, all to just distract us, to separate us, to bring us to our knees in fear, and to make Trump look bad.
I get it. Okay. Yeah? So that's your opinion, and your opinion falls in line with the conservative idea of the fireworks thing. I've been reading Twitter, and on Twitter I see a lot of left-wing liberal points of view, right? And all I've been seeing is them saying that it's suspicious in some way, like they're going to target the black and brown community, using it, like the police are going to be using this to shoot people and get back and all this stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So what we have is the country is so divided, right? We can't even shoot fireworks off without it being some sort of polarized thing that everyone wants to argue about. You know what it really is? It's almost 4th of July. People like to shoot fireworks on the 4th of July. people have nothing to do right now because of coronavirus. There's not much open yet. Almost everything's starting to open, but things are restricted. People are bored. How much Call of Duty can we play, right? Bronx kids want to go out and blow shit up. When I was a Bronx kid, when I was a wee Bronx kid, all we did was blow shit up around 4th of July, fireworks, whatever. And this year is just worse. That's it. On top of that, the police don't give a fuck because they feel undervalued. They feel underappreciated. So you know what? They don't want to be bothered policing people shooting off fireworks. On top of that, why would they even want to put themselves in that situation? Another possible conflict with people over
where you strangle some black kid over fireworks.
I'm telling you, there's no conspiracy. It's just fireworks, right? I live in New Fairfield in Connecticut, right? It's a white town, like upstate New York, upstate Connecticut. The same shit is happening in my town. All night, people are shooting off fireworks every single day, right? That doesn't fit the narrative whatsoever of these two sides fighting each other, right? Yeah. It doesn't. Because all it is people just shooting fireworks. That's it. Yeah. There's no Dr. Evil conspiracy behind the whole thing that he's looking to get out of everybody.
Yeah. I just want to touch on what you said about the 4th of July stuff with the law enforcement trying to they want to do walk off.
That's something I want to talk about.
I'm gonna call out sick. If anybody doesn't know, the NYPD is supposedly planning a massive everybody call out sick day that day.
I mean, so like I agree with you. Right now they're undervalued. Everybody knows that. It's got to be hard to walk out of your house going into work knowing that the public right now completely like hates you.
Just
like
the mob. There's a lot of people who love them, but just the mob.
Yeah, but it's not like they dislike you; they hate you. Yeah. Like cops are getting shot now.
Even if you're
it's
a good
very
one.
Unfortunate. Yeah. And with the defund police thing too, I want to mention that too. I have to say, like, I don't think defunding would be the best thing. It does cost money to train these guys, and they need more training to deal with the public to get them to understand like your power authority. Is we need to humble you essentially because you are a public servant. You're not. You enforce the law.
Let's be real. A lot of cops. I mean, we all went to all 3 different high schools, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember a lot of the class clowns that bullied all the little smaller kids in high school all became cops and firefighters. You don't think those class clown pricks right now just get a hard on every time they put that badge and gun on? There's a lot of people that go into the police department that have that mindset.
I agree with that.
They were just these high school jocks that peaked. Yeah. And now it's a dick swinging contest time.
And then I'll go with that real quick. And then also too, it's like when you defund, I mean, education, man, is very vital right now. Mm-hmm. Very vital. You need to teach kids what's right and what's wrong. I mean, and it doesn't help that these kids are not in school. So you need that. And also, too, teachers shouldn't be getting paid $30,000, $40,000 a year and buy their own fucking supplies. That's bullshit.
Like I said on a previous podcast, something needs to happen to the bad apples in the police departments. Defunding kind of screws over the good and the bad. And, as we spoke about, Skaggs, it's a budget cut. So that I'm okay with. We all stood in unison in George Floyd's death saying something needed to happen to the police, right up until they burned that target down. And something still does, and I don't have the power to change that as of yet. So if defunding's that, then I guess that's what we have to do. But you're right, like the education and stuff like that, once we defund the police and stuff like that, you're just going to deter the brightest people that would go become a police officer, so we would get more good apples and stuff like that.
Yeah. On the episode that we discussed that a lot, I was for kind of for the idea of adjusting the budget.
Yeah.
But I also realize now, doing a little bit more research, I kind of agree that police need to be trained way more, right? Yeah. They need more education. They need to spend more time training so that they're better equipped to handle
police
situations.
Reform.
Is that possible if we cut their budget?
No.
I don't know. I don't know the budget. I don't know like the numbers, but it seems like they need more training, not less training.
Definitely more training.
Maybe we don't need to cut their funding. Maybe we need to adjust their budget, right?
Right.
The NYPD's budget was, what did I say, was $6 billion? Yeah. Are they spending, $4.5 billion of that on equipment? Maybe they should spend, 5 out of 6 on training and on human resources within their own department as opposed to equipment. Yeah. They don't need tanks. They don't need riot gear. They don't need
they need riot gear.
But they don't need an endless supply of tear gas, for example, right?
Yeah. And you know what the problem is? You know how that happens, right? It's the police unions. You need to knock them down a little bit.
Yeah.
The police
Because
what?
the police union, the PBA and stuff like that. You need to knock them down because they're the ones. Or for instance,
They got the swing.
They have the swing because they use it as leverage for political power.
Yep.
Where they say, well, if you're not going to back us, well, we got 36,000 people that's not going to vote for you. And we have the power to sway the vote.
Endorse candidates and stuff.
So that's what they use, and that right there, they take that leverage and they can literally back any officer, even if they're wrong.
So
and get away with it.
Yeah, in Chicago, I believe it was Chicago. I read something on Fox that if Chicago or if Illinois disbands its police departments, a lot of major corporations are straight up going to leave, right? They're just going to pick up and move out. But also, it really hurts a lot of and like I said, this is going to be a biased episode. A lot of this shit's happening in Democratic ran states. And
100% agree with that.
Yeah. And a lot of these Democrats that are in office right now, every time they're up for re-election, have received huge amounts in donations from police unions. You defund the police union, I can promise you when you're up for re-election, you are not going to get a fucking dime. Mm-hmm. Not a dime. They'll give it all to the Republican candidate. The only way you're going to make it out ahead is if you're running unopposed. Because the one thing that a lot of people don't understand now is these actions are going to come back to haunt them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you're one of these Democratic governors who just is shitting on the police, come time when it's fucking time to vote, all those cops are going to show up in numbers and vote against you.
Can I give you the counterpoint to that?
Go for it. That's why we have a show.
Yeah, I don't agree. I agree with you, right? What you're saying is that the police unions and the cops end up basically endorsing a candidate, and either in name or by making contributions and things like that. I don't think the politicians are going to care about that. Because so many people are angry and protesting and marching, they're going to pander to those people.
Yeah,
they're not going to. It's a numbers game, right? This is what's wrong with politicians. They have no backbone. They're just going to go with the wind, right? They don't have an idea. Exactly. They don't have a plan. They're just going to do whatever the mob tells them to do. And right now, the mob is telling them to defund the police. What you're saying is basically the police are their own mob in a way. And they usually influence
in that manner,
influence what politicians do or say. And I'm telling you right now, in certain places like Minneapolis or Seattle, the mayor is just bowing to the mob. He's not going to give a fuck about what the police have to say. He's going to do what the mob wants to do because the mayor of Seattle thinks that's his best route to get reelected. Because those people are now going to turn out and vote for me because I let them do what they wanted.
But there's going to be no government to do so if they keep it up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be able to vote because they don't want to vote. I mean,
in Seattle specifically,
they're flying under a false, flag right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can understand.
You can't leave CHOP and go vote. You don't have voting rights.
This is my frustration.
Chaz, whatever.
I heard it's CHOP and Chaz.
No, it's CHOP now. It's CHOP now.
It's CHOP and Chaz. Yeah.
What does CHOP mean?
I have no idea.
Capital of.
I thought that was a salad place.
Yeah, it is. A
TV show, Chopped. But
no, I believe it's CHOP now.
Yeah,
I think I have something to say. You keep talking.
I believe it's CHOP and Chaz. It's like both of them. But
did you guys hear the Black House?
No.
Oh yeah, they're trying. Radical left-wing people are trying to create another Chaz or CHOP in Washington, D.C., in the park across the street from the White House. And Trump was like, this is not... and, like, the newspapers, like, got mad at him. Like, oh, Trump's not going to allow another, free autonomous zone. No sitting president in their right fucking mind would ever allow this to happen.
Across the street, especially.
Yeah. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
The nation's capital. This is where my frustration is with this whole Seattle thing. If they were to do this, right, and fly the American flag and be like, we need change, and we're going to start policing our own stuff, then I can be like, I'm with you guys. Mm-hmm. That's how it should be. But for you to be like, hey, fuck this country, you know what? If whatever happens, whatever's coming to you, you deserve it. Because it's not supposed to be like that. I mean, this is the greatest nation. We're not perfect, but it is the greatest nation. I mean, it's just frustrating to see these people just walking down the street and just flying their own flags.
They
and
want to
trying to start
America,
their own new government, and it's just like you're no different from the Confederates. You're no different.
Yeah, I have.
That's a good point. I never thought of it that way. That's a good point.
I have a lot to say on that too, but I mean, I don't feel. Are we going to keep just moving from one topic to topic, or we want to keep talking?
Oh yeah. So I wanted to say about the police doing the strike. It's very important, and this is what I believe in the most. I try to become a law enforcement officer, right? And I just didn't go through with it because it was just way too much information I was giving and I wasn't able to provide. However, I was willing to take that oath. I haven't done it. I don't know what they go through on a day-to-day basis. And I know they have a tough job. And I was willing to do that. However, these officers, you took an oath, man, okay? And you need to follow that oath. You need to, and the oath specifically says integrity, never disrespecting your badge and stuff like that. This is when you strike, you're disrespecting that oath. Because there are people in the city that need you.
Yeah.
Okay? No matter what the public opinion is, there is people who are paying you guys right now to protect us. Right. So regardless, and I know it sucks, man. It has to be terrible to know people can't stand you right now. And you're looking, and they're trying to portray you as the enemy. And you wake up every day and you're trying your best to be the best police officer in your community. That is terrible, dude. Mm-hmm. That is terrible. However, you took an oath for this fucking city, and you need to wake up and go to work.
Yeah, let me piggyback on you, dude. I 100% agree with you. When we're talking about, the fact that it's rumored some of the NYPD are going to just not show up to work on the 4th of July. Like you're saying, you chose to be a cop, right? Let me make it clear. I support cops, right? I understand why they would want to strike on the 4th of July, right? They feel undervalued. They feel like they're under attack. I understand. I could get what you're saying. Like you're saying, you took an oath, right? How would you feel if you're a cop and you guys all didn't show up to work on the 4th of July and lawlessness occurs? Someone breaks into your mother's house, shoots her and kills her, and you're a police officer. Now what?
Yeah,
now how are you gonna feel?
It's definitely a double-edged sword, and I'm glad you guys both agree with this because I actually oppose on this. Listen, like I said at the beginning, I do support police. I have family members and good friends that are police, and I'm more interested in finding ways to hurt the bad apples in the police departments. I don't want the good apples to get wrapped up in this either. But I am all for the police to go on strike. I'm going to look in the camera and say this. You sheep will be left to the fucking wolves, okay? There's the other camera. You sheep will be left to the fucking wolves. I've said this multiple times over different podcasts. People are so uneducated and so fucking stupid nowadays, they don't even know what they're asking for. Get rid of the Second Amendment. Get rid of guns. Okay, and then when the angry mob shows up on your block and you got nothing but your fucking little piece to defend yourself with, you're shit out of luck. I got mine back there. Nobody's coming in here. Now, granted, yes, what you said is something I didn't think. You're a police officer.
You're pointing all your anger, and you want them to do it to hurt the group that you don't like. But you're ignoring everyone's going to get hurt by that. Yeah, even the people who support the cops. The cops' moms and dads are going to get hurt by that, right? But now, why should it's in my opinion, it's selfish to do that to everybody. I agree. If there was some way we could just not respond to these Antifa people or whatever and not help them, sure, I get it, because that's what they want. Don't help them, but that's not the way it works in reality.
I understand that, but the mob rules all right now, and the politicians and the media love the mob right now. So you know what? Fuck them all and let the world burn. Okay, let it burn. The sheep follow the mob. The mob want the police gone. Cool. Now the sheep are going to be left without the sheepdog and to only deal with the wolves. All right. So good fucking luck. You want to be anti-blue line? You want to be anti-police? Cool. You don't want to do nothing about it? Well, now you have to do something about it. So figure out what fucking side you're on, because this could be finally the turning point where the police stand down and enough crazy shit happens. And because straight up, if just New York alone, just the city alone, if the police go on strike, play the fucking Purge music, because that's it. It will be the straight.
We've been
Purge.
talking about this
Yes.
for how many years,
dude? Yeah.
How many years have me and you've been talking about
We're
this?
ready for the Purge.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, but the Second Amendment, right? I always try to balance and be like, try to, outweigh, like look through the situation with all the school mass shootings and stuff like that, and try to be like, you know what, maybe not everybody should have a gun and stuff like that. But boy, let me tell you, 2 months it took 2 months for people to just fucking lose their shit, and now you can see the value for that amendment.
Yeah. Can I just make a side point?
Because I'm over here.
Can I make a side point? What happened to mass shootings? They don't exist no more? They're gone? Right?
They just poof.
Because most mass shootings, I believe, as a conspiracist, is false flag operations. The Vegas mass shooting was so crazy to fucking think that you can't take a shit in Vegas without getting caught on camera. This guy had 30 duffel bags full of AR-15s and sniper rifles and fucking ammo boxes. That you know how much an ammo box weighs. These things are about 150 pounds a piece.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Some dude with 30 duffel bags loading into his room. There's only one shooter, but there's multiple windows broken on different floors. He's running up and down stairs, and they don't have any image. It's ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that no mass shootings have not happened. I'm just skeptical of why have they stopped happening.
Well, that's
if they were if they were some sort of societal trend that was occurring. Why did that societal trend all of a sudden?
Yes.
If anything, the situation that has happened, coronavirus, poverty, economic downturn, should have accelerated things like that happening, because it drives people crazy, depression, makes them angry, they want to lash out, right? And that has not happened. The opposite has happened, which leads me to question them happening in general further.
So your homework for this weekend is to research false flag operations. Go down the rabbit hole just a little bit. Just peek your head in and start that. But what my point is, though, what I was getting to earlier, and then we can move to another topic, is if the police strike, enough people are going to pay where we're going to stand up to the mob. The difference between a mob and the Patriot is the mob is easier to be a part of. The mob is, if you just accept the mob, you feel safe because the mob's not going to come for you. If you're... And I know I'm being polarizing and political by saying Patriot and mob. I don't have a better word for it. But the Patriot will stand alone. You know what I mean? The Patriot is the one guy standing in front of the mob with the police behind him saying, you're not going to do this. Yeah. It's hard to be that guy. It's easy to be the mob. When the police go on strike, you'll just have good-hearted patriots left and fucking chaos and anarchy. And that's going to get the fairy weather, sheep to fucking wake up and realize, oh, this isn't the way things should be going. The mob's not right, and this could be our opportunity. Yes, people are going to get fucked, and people are going to get hurt, and I pray that it's nobody we know, and I pray that it's nobody you guys know out there, but somewhere along the line, someone's going to get hurt, something's going to get fucked over. Wake up. It's time to wake up. Yeah, it's time to wake up. The mob has... Listen, I understand why the mob's here. What happened to George Floyd was terrible and should not happen anymore. But now the mob has gone too far. Now we have politicians that have no fucking sense of leadership, have no consequences to their action, have no overwatch, just taking orders from the mob. It's only going to be up to us and the rest of the sheep to wake up to put down the mob, because we don't have Washington at our back. I don't even know what Trump's end game is. So like I said,
divide people further.
Yeah. So like I said, we are out here on our own. It's up to us.
Yeah, 100% agree. However, we're so divided right now, right? Mm-hmm. We're so divided, but we all agree with the same things. How frustrating is that?
The past couple episodes, me and him, we might disagree with how to get from point A to point B, but we always, after we have the conversation, we always realize we agree. At the core fundamental foundation of whatever the fuck we're talking about, we always agree. We want things to be better for everybody.
Or find a new perspective, and that's what it's all about, giving out a new perspective. One thing I've learned from this crazy year is you could come into something like an animal and just, I can't believe this, and then you just say something the right way and it's a new perspective, and you're like, holy shit, okay, now I got to think about it that way.
And also, too, nobody knows how to do this.
No.
At all. how to sit down and actually have a conversation. And you're pro law enforcement. Let's say I'm Antifa.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Look, sit down and talk to each other.
Yeah,
and it's the best way to get past things. And you can literally nobody wants to do that
because they go on Twitter and snipe at each other.
Yeah, because then you have
you can't get hit in the face on Twitter.
Yeah, because if you do that, then you have a million other people. See, this is the thing. Social media is just such a disease because it gives everybody an opinion. Nobody really gives a fuck about your opinion. Like, we're just regular Joe Schmoes. Like, you want to be here and be like, how many people became fucking doctors overnight with this whole COVID thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Including, you got two right here.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Got my PhD in the mail yesterday.
I'm not even talking about you guys. I haven't even seen anything. But people become doctors overnight. Yeah. With this whole thing, everybody becomes now, a protest professional, or now they become a law enforcement, pro law enforcement, and it's just like now you're picking sides. We all need to learn how to start understanding and seeing the other side for what it is, and that other person to do the same thing, vice versa.
I completely agree,
because I hate being divided, dude. Like, I love this country so much, man.
That's why that's the root of all the problems we have.
Yes,
just division.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
And now that it's an election year, the establishment and the media are just grinding away at what they do best, dividing us. It's no coincidence that the second we stopped being afraid of the COVID-19 virus, whether it was a hoax or not, and I know people died of it, so it's not truly a hoax, but it's no coincidence that the second America stopped being afraid of this virus, we plunged right into a race war. That is, like look at where we are now. You got to understand, take coincidences out of it. Just take coincidences out of it. Think of it like you're watching a movie, season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We went from an impeachment, and the impeachment was super weird. Trump asked about Biden's son and Biden, giving a quid pro quo to the guy in Ukraine. If you don't fire that prosecutor who's investigating my son, I'm going to withhold $1 billion from you. He questioned that, asked the people of Ukraine, and then this mysterious phone call of talking about Joe Biden turned into a quid pro quo that Trump said, if you don't tell me about Biden, we're going to withhold, shit. And
it flipped the whole situation upside down, basically.
So then we had this long drawn out impeachment, and then all of a sudden the House votes to impeach Trump, but Pelosi holds on to the fucking papers.
Let's also point out that Americans don't even know what the fuck that means. Right? People go, oh shit, Trump's been impeached. He's not the president anymore.
Yeah, like they're going to drag him out of office.
All that means is now you've been chosen to basically go on trial.
Yeah.
Right? That's all that means. It doesn't mean you've been removed from office. No. But and you think that's by accident. The Democrats know people don't know what impeachment means.
Just
right?
Like
so they did it so that it'll stain Trump's legacy, right? He was impeached. People will think, oh, look, he's bad. He was removed from office or whatever.
So
and I hate
Clinton.
the fucking guy. I hate him, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that is the game that's being played instead of, and they're just playing that game instead of our fucking highways need to be fixed. We need to revolutionize our healthcare system. We need to figure out how to make minority neighborhoods better, right?
Our education system.
We're fucking sniping at each other, political games left and right. That's it.
You're gonna love this one. This is what I was watching during this whole impeachment process, right? This is all, and we could agree with this, right? This is what I got from the impeachment. Ready? Wolf Blitzer. Breaking news, Donald Trump has been impeached. Donald Trump has been impeached. Breaking news, Donald Trump. That doesn't mean anything.
Articles of impeachment have been brought up against Donald Trump.
Doesn't mean anything, sir. You're telling your followers, hey, this guy's gone. That does not mean that. It does not mean that at all. Mm-hmm. And and that goes to show media is fucking terrible.
You ever watch CNN, bro? Their model is breaking news.
Yeah.
Anytime they come back from a commercial, breaking news. Breaking all times of the day. There's breaking news at all times of the day. That's just a tactic to get people riled up. Holy shit! Breaking news! I gotta zoom in right now to what's going on.
And you know what the difference is?
That's just a tactic. Immediate.
9/11 was breaking news.
Yeah.
Right.
9/11 is breaking news.
Yeah.
Not an impeachment. Not anything that is. And they just use these things to, shove it into the people's face. Like, breaking news.
The phrase breaking news.
And breaking news
puts
causes
people's ears up.
It causes fear and your anxiety to come out and be like, oh.
We talk about marketing all the time, and I always talk about bringing eyes to our page. That's what CNN's doing. It's an advertising company, basically, for
their commercials
the world.
that they sell. Yeah.
So, all right, so where we were, let's take coincidence out of this. We had this weird impeachment that started. The House voted on impeachment, right? So articles of impeachment were brought up. And then Nancy Pelosi held on to fucking all the papers. She held on the remember, she didn't bring it right to the Senate. Remember, it was really weird that she didn't bring it right to the Senate. She waited. She waited 30 days or something like that. And it just so happened the day she looked this shit up, Google it, do whatever you got to do, the day she brought the articles of impeachment to the Senate was when we first started hearing about COVID-19 in China. I'm not making this shit up. There's no conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. There's no conspiracy theory. I think it was January 19th that we started seeing how bad COVID was in China, and that's when Pelosi brought the articles of impeachment in.
Let me say that I think she did that also because she knew they had absolutely zero chance to actually get him removed from office. Easily. So it was more of a win for them to sit on it and have people say he's impeached, he's impeached, he's impeached. So as opposed to fleshing out the trial and then vindicating him because. Which is exactly what happened at the end of the day.
So I'll ask you. So if you, because you probably agree with me with this, if you sat on those papers, right, and you waited because you knew you had no evidence on him, how are you not going to trial?
I don't know.
You understand what I'm saying? Because you would have to go to trial if you're
is that a triable offense? I don't know.
Falsely accusing someone of a crime that they haven't committed.
There was
kind of. You know what I mean? If you think about it,
there would be.
I don't think it's as black and white as you're painting it.
There'd be.
It's like a political process.
There'd be another drawn-out investigation. Definitely. I don't think she was obstructing justice in any way.
She just wasn't acting on it.
Yeah. But anyway, so now I'm sorry. So once these articles of impeachment go to trial, and Trump, they start the questioning of the impeachment process. That's when COVID-19 shot up in China. Then the second Trump didn't get impeached. We knew the Senate wasn't going to impeach him.
Right, of course.
Anyway,
majority Republicans.
Yeah. So
and that's the thing people didn't get, and that's why, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know the specifics of what happened after he got impeached, because if you know the government, you knew that was not happening because it had to go.
Senate was never going to let it
happen. It's not household information either. What's household information is that Trump was impeached. It's not household information, the outcome of the impeachment hearings and trial. Right? So, it's only that he was impeached. Yeah. But ask any random Joe Schmo on the street, hey, what happened with the impeachment trial? See what they're going to tell you. They're going to say, I don't know.
So now once the impeachment fell through, the next thing that came, COVID-19, and we shut down everything. We tanked the economy. Vermont, 55 people died of COVID-19. So you mean to tell me the entire state of Vermont, all those businesses had to be shut down, all that money had to be lost, all those 401ks destroyed, all those credit scores destroyed for 55 people?
Right. I wonder if we could get a statistic of how many people died in Vermont because of shutting everything down, opposed to how many people
killed themselves.
How many people killed themselves? How many people, whatever, how many people are going to suffer from economic downturn and are going to die from it?
Yeah.
Things like that.
So we take coincidence out, the impeachment failed, coronavirus came up. Now we are giving the government our rights. Lockdowns, closing businesses, doesn't matter what it takes. We got to flatten this curve. The CDC and the WHO, people are crazed that Trump would stop, funding the WHO. They flipped-flopped constantly.
Wear a mask, don't wear a mask.
Yeah. You listen, before all this, I had no political view on the WHO or the CDC. But if you guys are flip-flopping, there's nobody we could trust.
Well, the WHO is basically a shill to China. China controls what they say. There was a video, which Joe Rogan has mentioned several times, of a WHO, it's funny to even say it like that, but like a WHO spokesperson talking about something, and they asked him about how the situation was going in what is that island near fucking China? Taiwan, right?
Taiwan, yeah. They wouldn't even recognize him. The guy from the WHO wouldn't even recognize the question because he didn't want to answer a question about a country that China has beef with, right? Yeah. Because China considers Taiwan as part of China. Meanwhile, Taiwan is its own
country, right? So because a question was asked referencing Taiwan as its own country, the guy refused to answer the question. He pretended like he didn't hear the question.
Yeah.
He didn't acknowledge it.
Come on. Obviously,
Listen.
right there and then, you could tell they're just shilling for
And,
China.
and like I said, we have with the whole Seattle thing. I'm not going to go back to that topic, but like you're flying a false flag, right? You hate this country, but meanwhile you have a country like China that there's
Go
no
live
civil
there.
rights. There's no civil rights there. Human rights, there's none of that. There's
Nope.
none of that there. They have nets around the sweatshops
Yeah.
for people
can't
who
jump
jump
out,
out, try to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to understand what our country is,
Dude, because-
and we're not perfect, but we have to strive to perfection.
Listen,
at
I'm
least.
gonna jump from one opinion back to my theory of no coincidences. China has such little oversight that they can fish through entire populations of fish species without any there's no people always want to talk about the ecosystem and global warming and what we're going to do about nature and the ecosystem and stuff. I get we need to do something, but I will take Trump's side day in and day out that nothing's going to change, nothing's going on until China is held accountable. You're not going to tell me that American taxes need to go up so we could lower global warming. My taxes ain't going to make the world any colder, while China is still allowed to do whatever the fuck it wants and produce all that pollution. China, and I know we got no beef right now with India, but whatever. But India
They're
does
also
it.
part of the problem.
Yes.
Oh,
If India and China aren't held accountable for any type of global warming and any types of advances to make the world better, then it doesn't matter. You're pissing into the wind.
That's a topic we got to get into, bro, and literally we're going to have to dedicate an entire podcast.
Yeah.
We've never spoken about that ever,
Yeah,
and that's something I care about a lot, like climate change and all that stuff. But me and you, for whatever, there's been so much shit going on. We haven't
right
even
now,
had a chance to get into
India
that.
and China are beefing.
Yeah, beefing, yeah.
Yes, there's a little battle, fucking border skirmish going on, but with no guns. They've been fighting and killing each other with bare hands for some
All right,
reason.
so hold on. Let me finish this.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. We're getting crazy here, people.
No, but that's how crazy.
I know.
The world is
2020
today.
is.
2020, baby.
Like I
border
said-
war, fist fight, border war between two countries.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Duking it up, bro.
Like I said at the beginning of this, thank God our show is about current events because we got a lot of fucking events.
A lot of material.
So like I said, you
Great
take out
show.
coincidences, right? The impeachment was real weird. Second impeachment fell through. Fucking coronavirus came in. Coronavirus was a hell of a fucking fear-mongering, crazy time in our lives.
Ain't over yet.
And it's not even close to being over yet. And then the second we, like I said, take coincidence out of this, like it's a fucking movie. You're now on level 3 of this insanity. Level 1, impeachment. Level 2, coronavirus. Level 3, race wars. Bang. The day we all are like, fuck this, I want to go out. Fuck you. I'm not listening to the governor anymore. People are opening up restaurants. Florida opened up a few stores. The entire state just went crazy and started. Now all of a sudden we got race wars. Then the race wars. Then we only see the looting and the rioting. All the peaceful protesters, their voice fell silent. Their voice fell silent. Even all the protesters.
Thanks Fox News for that.
That's fine. I don't disagree with you on that at all. The peaceful protesters' voice went silent. All we hear about is looting. Now only the protests we have this from police that we know that show up to these protests. Black people aren't even protesting anymore. The black community isn't even out there anymore. It's just white people now screaming and breaking shit. But once this is done, I can promise you the second COVID wave is going to come. It's like a written story. This is just the next level. It's ridiculous. Take coincidence out and put your head in the rabbit hole and just question it.
Yeah, if you put your head in a rabbit hole, of course. Just to play devil's advocate, though, nothing's not related, right? There's been an underlying problem in this country. Like I said, the country's not perfect. Although it's the best country in the world,
But you
it's
could
not
use that
perfect.
to your advantage.
Is it better than China? Of course, right?
Yeah.
This country offers you the ability to make things better. Let's put it that way. China does not. So even if things have not been good for you, if you're a minority, if you're African American, things have not been great for you historically, there is a chance with this country we can make it better for you, right?
And we have that ability.
Right,
to
we
do
have
so.
the ability as opposed to China.
We
you
definitely
don't.
do.
Right, so my point is nothing is not related. The stuff going on with the race war or whatever you want to call it, it's like pent up aggression. People have been home. The economy is down. They're down. They're depressed. They're angry, right? It was like you were putting more logs onto the fire, right? and then you didn't even have the fire started there, right? You're building a campfire, and you keep putting another log on, and you keep putting another log on, right? And then I think I said this in a previous podcast. Here comes the match. George Floyd was the match which ignited it. There was always this problem of police, it
was the perfect
not being
storm.
held accountable. It
What
was
if
a
it
perfect
was all
storm.
set up
Perfect
that
storm.
way?
That's your natural inclination for everything. You always think everything is like a
no
conspiracy.
coincidences.
I just think I don't think it's not that there's no coincidences. I think that everything is related in some way. Like society
definitely.
was on the verge of wanting to fight about something.
Yes.
Well, you
And
locked
this
them
gave
up
us
for
the-
2
Yeah.
fucking
Right,
months,
right.
and they
Which
weren't
is-
able to do. And you
which-
had people with
yeah.
businesses
Yeah.
that had to close down. For instance, I went down. I had to do a insurance photo for Geico today, right? So I went to the auto body shop that just recently opened up, and the guy was saying that he had business with 7 dealerships. The top dealership was, I'm not going to name who it is because I don't want their business to be out there. But the top dealership that they get business from, he was making, before all this shit happened, when they were really busy, $175,000 a month on that one dealership, right? He's down to like $15,000 a month now. So,
Hard
and
to
that's a
recover from
small
that.
business. That's an auto body shop in the Bronx.
Yeah.
So it's like these small businesses are now going to struggle for 2 years. So you think people are going to be like, they want to fight. They want to fight.
People
They're
were
angry.
hyped up, and that leads me back to the fireworks. People are just pent up, man. They want to go do something, right? Fireworks are something you could go do outside. You know, it's not. It's not something.
Doesn't
that's
have to be
listen,
every fucking night, though. You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is, it's just. It's
Doesn't
just.
have to be after 12.
It's just something people want to do, right?
Yeah.
And look, and another reason why I think the fireworks, just go back to fireworks in general, people need to make money, right? You don't mean to tell me like organized crime and whoever, people are not like trying to hustle and push a lot of fireworks to sell them because they
bought
need
fireworks
I've
from the
bought-
mob members.
Yes, I have. I have
the Italian mob.
I have, right? You don't think those guys are hustling their ass off right now, trying to make as much
Yeah.
money as they can because they're hurting from business being shut down for months? People are just
They don't wanna go
hustling,
disappearing.
hustling, right? People are buying and selling shit, and it's something to do. After the 4th of July is over, the firework thing will go away because people are going to shoot all their fucking fireworks.
I got a question for you
Right, hold on.
specifically. After
So I want to be clear here. Like, I do, my part here is for conspiracies and stuff. But I also do understand, like, we, whether this was developed or planned or not, a pandemic or anything like that, whether or not, no matter what, we had a Tinder bundle here. And I ain't talking about the
Tinder
dating
box.
app. Yeah, we had a Tinder box here. And like you said, George Floyd was not just a spark. I mean, that was
Gas and the spark.
that was light the beacons. Yeah.
The beacons.
Yeah.
The beacon of Almundine.
And I do agree with you guys that, like, there's 2 sides to every coin. So if this was a conspiracy and I'm right, boy, the fucking I told you so tour that I'm gonna go on is gonna be epic.
We'll do 10 episodes, 20 episodes, just that.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I also agree that like we've been locked in our houses for 2 months. All these fireworks. I kind of want to get some fucking fireworks.
Yeah, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was talking about it today. I was like, shit, bring fireworks. Let's go. When we have our party, I'm blowing shit up.
Yeah, and your special guest trying to charge
Yeah,
you for
try to
it.
charge me $170. The fuck out
Hey,
of here.
why-
Well,
you try
that's
to
why
charge
he's.
him?
That's how's Antifa doing over there, Zoo?
Yeah, he's got to make he's got to make money to fucking fund his Antifa operations in Seattle. I think those people are going to feed themselves without money.
Yeah, he's
What
gonna,
do they have you lugging? Bricks?
he's gonna start every episode. Your motto's gonna be like, "I told you so. I told you so. I told you so."
If I'm right on, draining the swamp, pandemic, Obamagate. If I'm right on any of this, we're gonna have to end this show because you're not gonna be able to talk.
Well,
I'm just gonna sit here going,
I was right. The probability is you have to be right with one of them. You know what I mean? The
Just
government
throwing
does
up
some
shit at the wall, something's a mistake.
The government really. They are some. You talk about deep state.
Yes.
There's some deep shit, bro,
Listen.
that they fucking do that nobody knows or
Listen.
never will know. Of
course.
And it's.
listen.
Is it because it's for the best interest of America?
Listen, we're not the
I
good
get
guys.
it.
Listen, by no means there's no good guys left in the world. But, people always talk about, foreign interference in an American election. Yeah, that's a possibility. But I can promise you, 100% guarantee, promise you, they'll probably be knocking on my door tonight. The CIA has fucking interfered in every international election since the CIA was created. Easily. easily. They create wars. You don't think they could fucking rig elections?
So they interfere in our own elections, probably.
Yeah.
If they could do it elsewhere, why wouldn't they do it to our own elections?
Forget it.
Like that Narcos. We're talking about Narcos, bro. That they do that shit all the time.
A street gang that has enough money could fucking rig an election in Mexico. The CIA could fucking
easy.
The CIA could clone a fucking a monkey and put a suit on him and fucking give him to some country, and that's the new president.
Well, that explains our fucking president right now.
Who knows if the CIA started all this shit?
Yeah,
with
maybe.
the protesting. But you said about
CIA vans dropping bricks off.
About good people, right? Like every time you see these things happen and all these shootings happening, all these people getting killed, because now it's just murder porn at this point. Go online, you see people getting fucking murdered.
Yeah, snuff
it's
films.
ridiculous. Snuff films, basically what it is now, and you're just like you're desensitized, and But with the good people, I got a question for you, and I know we discussed about this all the time. Do you think you have any faith in humanity in the future? Because I know we talk about this all the time, and this is where we
No.
Yeah, no. I would like to hope that there is some
I have none.
humanity.
I have
in
none
this
because
world.
if you want to get down to we're just animals, right? We're just more sophisticated animals, and we are basically just fancy monkeys, right? And monkeys are always going to fight each other. It doesn't matter what they're fighting about. We fight about more advanced, complicated things than monkeys do, but we fight about them. And eventually, I don't think humanity is going to survive. Let's just put this out there, because we have already nuclear weapons that could 30 times over destroy the entire planet, and they're already made, ready to go at a moment's notice. The law of probability is going to tell you that eventually someone's going to push that button, and that's it. It's going to happen at some point. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe it'll happen in 20,000 years, but eventually it's going to happen. Yeah. And then that's it.
All right. What about you?
I'll let my silence be the answer to that. I haven't had hope in humanity I'm 31. I think I had hope in humanity, I don't know, 32 years ago.
Let me put it let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. I have no hope, but I rage against that fact, right? Like, I have no hope. I don't think anything's going to happen, but my whole mentality is always to rage against that. Like, I want us to survive. I want things to be better, regardless if I don't think it's going to happen. Like, it doesn't mean I'm just going to give up in my own mind, and I wouldn't be the guy to push that button. No matter what, I would, even if I was pushed to the point of having to push that button, I would always try and take the high road and work it out with someone else as opposed to pushing that button.
Yeah.
You know why I have no faith in humanity? I had a very good family friend that I knew since I was 2 years older than him. I was, there when he came home from the hospital. He got into a street race while he was on a motorcycle. The car was losing. Allegedly, the car, clipped his back tire. He went ass over head, and he's been gone for 2 years now. And that kid still walks today. Who was ever in that car? None of my friends, none of my friend who passed. None of his friends knew who was in that car. They don't really know what type of car it was. They don't know what happened. It was too far up ahead of them. This made the news. This made the newspaper. This made charity organizations. This was all over Facebook. Nobody ever found nothing. The case is cold. It's unsolved. And this kid right now is sitting home scratching his balls, fucking drinking a beer, laughing it up with his boys, and he killed somebody. And he's gonna go to bed, no problem tonight. No. I hope he's in some closet crying and cutting himself right now. But the reality of it in 2020, he's sitting around a table with his boys right now, drinking tequila, laughing it up. Yeah. And that he's going to go to bed and wake up at 10 o'clock tomorrow and collect unemployment and fucking enjoy his life.
I try to see myself as, I get what you guys are coming from. I really do, that that there's bad in the world. But I try to see myself as Batman, where there's bad in the world, but you're going to try your hardest to
that's
get
what I said.
that hope, that sign of hope. You want things to nothing's ever going to be perfect, but to strive for perfection.
Listen,
that should be hope, essentially hope.
There's three people in this world: the population, the sheep. Then the sheep are the blind. The sheep follow blindly. The sheep will do as they're told. Go work 9 to 5. Go pay your taxes, which we all need to do, whatever. But the sheep stay in line.
Yeah, well, I am a sheep.
Yeah,
the sheep just go for comfort.
Yes.
They're comfortable with things and they just go with it. They don't question.
The path of least resistance.
Yes.
On the opposite end of the sheep is the wolf. The wolf will take advantage of the sheep because the sheep are blind. The wolves are genetically evil. They are going to take advantage of the sheep. Then the third person is the sheepdog.
Oh, I know where you got this from.
Yep, these are the people who will put themselves in between the wolf and the sheep, aka the police department, really. Police, fire, EMT, military, these are our sheepdogs. And we have a large amount of the sheep, wanting to get rid of the sheepdog. So where I look at myself, I'm sorry, unpopular opinion, I don't care, call me evil, wolf through and through. I run with a wolf pack. If shit was to hit the fan, I have my pack right here with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to be okay. And I could tell you right now, in the end of the world, I ain't taking no fucking sheep either.
No.
You're either going to be a wolf or a sheepdog on my team, but it's wolves through and through. That's why I have no faith in humanity, because the sheep are blind. Blind they might as well be bats.
Yeah, but as a person who's theoretically on the side of the sheepdog, right? It's your kind of like your calling to defend the sheep.
Yeah,
it's my calling to defend my pack. To be perfect,
so then you're a wolf.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest
Fair
with you, you two sitting next to me, I will go to battle with. I will kill cold-bloodedly if the situation called Walking Dead status. I have the gun. He has the gun. You two have nothing. I'm going guns blazing. Random Joe Smo that I fucking walked past the street, take him out. Fuck you, I ain't wasting the ammo.
I know what you mean. You got that from American Sniper, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, good
I
movie.
think so.
Good movie.
Great book.
Yeah, great book. I read that book. Great book.
That was a great book, and
I just wish they put in the movie when the fucking SEALs beat the shit out of the cops at the
cops
bar or
and
whatever.
firemen. They flipped over their fucking cars. Yeah, let me talk about that real quick. But that's a great.
But I think in the book
scene.
also too, there was a gang fight on one of the ships. Remember, was that in this book? There was two books I read about Navy SEALs. One was No Easy Day by Gary Owen and Mark Owen. I think one of those. It's the second half of Zero Dark 30.
Okay.
The second half of the actual operation to go get Osama bin Laden, right?
Okay.
I don't know which book it was, but there was a gang fight on one of the ships, on one of the naval ships, right? And
A gang fight? Like
a gang, like there was two. The Navy, the military has a lot of gang affiliation to it, so there was like a gang fight inside one of the ships. The fucking SEALs locked both sides up in a fucking cafeteria, and they beat the shit out of both sides.
Don't surprise me.
And they were like, "You guys could have fucking cut this shit out, this and that, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh shit, like, that's fucking awesome," you know. But that's a great book. Yeah, both of them are great books.
I'll show you later.
Both of those.
My favorites, from the book American Sniper. My favorite part of the whole book was when they were in Nevada on a training exercise, and they went out to a bar, and the bar happened to be a cop firefighter bar for locals, right?
Yeah.
So they're Navy SEALs. They're guys that like to fight. Navy SEALs, right? They go in there, and these cops and firefighters are in there. They're partying. They got girls there. The SEALs come in. The SEALs start stealing all the girls in the bar from the cops and firefighters. No shit. These are men, right? These are all men that are gonna, testosterone flares
alpha
up.
male versus
Alpha males, right?
Dick
What do you
swinging
think? What do you think happens?
contest.
So what happens is
and
in
booze
this
is
bar,
involved too.
in this bar, a huge fight breaks out, right? The cops, firefighters against the SEALs. SEALs beat the shit out of everybody.
Obviously.
Long story short, the SEALs get thrown out of the bar by the bar people because of what happened. The SEAls go outside and they flip over all the cop cars and all the everyone's cars outside with their bare fucking hands. They just lift and flip over everybody's cars.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Chris Kyle?
Chris Kyle and that whole team were banned from that town.
Yeah.
Like
That's great.
the town banned them.
That's
They
what's
no
gonna happen to
longer
us.
able to return to that town.
Eventually, that's what's going to happen to us in Montauk.
Here's a great story.
Oh, wait, sidebar, just to get you a little excited. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to bring nothing up, but I think I'm going to reach out to an actual SEAL that I know. You probably know who I'm talking about in a little bit. I'll tell you after the show.
If you do that, please let me on. I would like to
So
talk to him.
he was an actual SEAL.
Yes.
I'm 99% sure he was a SEAL. He has an amazing education, and he has, even though it's a little right wing, it's a very educated military standpoint and view and perspective that he brings, and I think it's something. It might be a little bit more of a right-wing show, but that's okay because we do flip-flop. But I think it's a perspective that would really speak volumes.
I'm with that, dude. I respect SEALs. One of the most people, like one of the highest respects I have is for Navy SEALs because those are like the cream of the crop human beings.
I respect all military. If you sign
physically,
up,
if
you sign up and go to war, man, and you're willing to sacrifice your life.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, you guys know me.
SEALs,
You guys know me. I'm pro-military, 100%. Like,
bottom line, you signed up for something I can never do.
But there's one story that I want to tell you guys with that whole flipping the cars thing. That's a good one. Marcus Luttrell, lone survivor, right? Years ago, there's a YouTube video out. Someone went to went to his house. I don't know where he was living at the time. They shot his fucking dog.
Jesus.
And at this time he was a fucking SEAL.
Oh boy, he's John Wick on him. Fuck.
He's already one tour, maybe 2 tours in war, right? There's a whole fucking audio recording. He was on the phone with 911, chasing these guys down, fucking carrying, and he was just smooth, bro. Like, you would be raged. You would be like, "Someone kill my fucking dog. I'm gonna kill somebody."
It's calm, cool, and collected.
The lady was like, "All right, where are they now? This and that, talking." And he's like, "Yeah, they're southbound, going this way, blah blah blah. I need like 2-3 officers. These guys are armed, this and that, blah blah." And she was like, "Just stay relaxed." And he goes, "Ma'am, I'm a Navy SEAL. I'm all right."
Smooth is quick.
Smooth as a motherfucker.
Smooth is quick.
He didn't even wait for the fucking cop to show up. He literally got out and he was just like ready to go down, bro. And I'm like, that's the difference, man. That's where the respect is, because you have to control your emotions at that time. Like, you know what I mean? And
paratroopers, Green Beret, Rangers, SEALs, all of them. Smooth is quickness. Under the most insane type bombs blown up. We fucking get ambushed in Call of Duty and get wiped out because our adrenaline spikes. These guys could fucking be in the middle of an ambush, take apart their gun, unjam that little fucking piece of shit in there, put their gun back together, and wipe out
I watch all those videos on YouTube, all those firefights and stuff like that. There was one time I'm watching a video, and there's a aircraft. Which one is it? It's the A-10. You ever heard of that aircraft? Oh
no.
A-10. You've seen it. The A-10 Warthog, the one with the teeth usually on the...
usually that's what it looks like.
It's a jet or a chopper?
It's a jet. It's a bomber. It's everything.
Oh, okay. I know.
It's an air-to-ground jet.
Yeah. In real life, they deployed the A-10. And these guys are in a firefight. Somebody got hit. The guy's grabbing him, pulling him along. You just hear... Zzz, right in front of him. And I'm like... Imagine this is
that's technology, though. That's not training.
But at the same time, you have a military plane at that stature.
That's why we spend the billions we do.
And you see that firsthand, and you're on the ground.
Don't lose your composure.
And you don't lose your composure. That's
training,
crazy
bro.
Thing, man.
Let's spin all this talk about Navy SEALs into what me and you talked about, and what we heard Jocko talk about with the police.
Yes. That was a great point, man.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Go ahead.
No, you explain it, because you explained it.
You guys
way better
spoke
than me.
a lot this week, so let's get one of these topics. I do have a question for the two of you, but I want to get through some other topics because it's been a week of events.
We listened to a few podcasts. Me and Jamie listened to a lot of Joe Rogan's podcasts, and he had on this guy Jocko Willink, who's a former Navy SEAL also. And basically, he was talking about. He made a lot of good points about how the police don't have enough training. Right.
Yeah.
When you're in the military, when you're a Navy SEAL, for example, you train for, what was it you told me? How many?
They have to train for about 6 to 7 months for a year deployment.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think they train like for 20 months for like 6 months.
To become a SEAL or a Ranger or that higher echelon in your branch of military, you need to go through a training and test before you go through your actual training.
Yes, that's...
So they used to have shows about like the Rangers and stuff, like living in the like. Who gets sent to Kodiak Island in Alaska? The SEAls or the Rangers?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what I mean. Like, you have to go through a lot before you.
But that's all winter. That's all winter ops. I
remember now.
Right, so let's go.
Jocko was explaining how the SEAls basically, when they're about to go on an op, which is like a deployment or whatever, they go through like 12 to 14 months of training for like a 6-month op or 3-month op. They train more than they're on the op, because when they're in the op, they need to know they're ready, 100%, no questions asked. They're not going to overreact. They're not going to bug out. They're not going to be unsure of what to do. They, for certain, are going to know exactly what to do. And if they don't, they know they're going to figure out what to do. Why? Because
The guy
they
next
spent,
to you'll know.
Right, exactly. They lean on each other, and they know they spent enough time training. This guy Jocko, he was trying to apply that to police. Police go to training for only, what is it?
6 months.
Yeah, I think it's like,
And they don't
it's
really,
like 3 months actually.
And
3
they
to 4
don't
months.
retrain.
Yeah,
they don't really.
He said
retrain.
the total of combative training for a police officer is 4 hours out of 12 months.
It's a lot of,
and no fault of the police.
No,
this
no.
is a procedural error. I'm not blaming police for anything.
With speaking to one of our good friends who's in the police department, he's probably learned more on the streets than that academy ever taught him. He was not ready.
There's a problem.
Not that he
with
wasn't ready, but he was not expecting to see this many dead bodies. He was not expecting to see this type of gore. So, just from my point of view, I want something to change for the police. I don't think less money is the issue. It's police reform. Police should have to be trained. In other countries, police
should be the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
The cream of the crop. And if they're not, they need to be made into the cream of the crop. Or they need to be able to not be a police officer because they cannot make it with the rest of the cream.
They're supposed to be outstanding citizens.
Yes.
They need to be where I look. If I'm a kid, I want that job. The same way we're talking about SEALs back in the day. If we knew about that when we were younger, we look at SEALs like, those are badass motherfuckers. I want to be that.
My father was in the military, so I always looked at the military in a different perspective, and the crazy stories and what these guys went through and what these guys accomplished. Just, you know what I mean? Like, just to be on point and like
those are men of men and those are women of women.
Oh yeah. Dude, we had a whole episode about World War II, and some of the most deadliest Soviet pilots were fucking women, and no disrespect to women.
Stalingrad. Wow, all right, cool.
But for World War II, for women to be shitting on all these soldiers, like, fucking congratulations.
But Russia went with the Battle of Stalingrad. In the Battle of Stalingrad,
a communist country, was a bit more progressive in that aspect than
they had no
democratic country.
They had no choice to. They had nothing left, and people stepped the fuck up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. They banded together, and they were like, you know what? Hey, women, you guys let's do this.
If we're gonna survive as a nation, all hands on deck.
You want a future? We got to make it.
That was the bloodiest battles in World War II. Stalingrad was 1 million people. Think about that.
That's a movie in its own, man.
It's
ridiculous.
amazing. Yeah, I love it.
But in general, maybe we need to rethink obviously the way police are trained, and maybe we need to apply. We need to apply some of the strategy we use to train the military to the police.
So my whole thing, there's a simple term for this, and Trump did sign. Let me repeat that: Trump did sign. Obama never did nothing. Obama didn't do any of this shit. Nothing. This shit was going on during Obama's administration, and none of this happened. Trump did sign an executive order for police reform. Now, I'm sorry, stupid me, fuck me. I didn't do my research on what this executive order was about. Fuck me, fine, I'm sorry. But, like I said in previous episodes, I don't believe defunding the police is the way to go. We could put insurance. We could put personal liability insurance on these police officers, like doctors and surgeons have. So this way, if you botch a surgery, the hospital doesn't take the brunt. You and your insurance take the brunt of this in court. Where eventually, enough bad cops who have enough misdemeanors against them and complaints against them will be uninsurable, and then you get fired, and then we get rid of the bad apple. But also on top of that, the training, it's not enough training. We're just, why we don't train anyone in New York? They only get 6 months of training in New York? Because we have a fucking army. We can swarm any mob we need to. The day they told the NYPD officers in recently that there's no days off, everyone who's off is coming in tonight, we're going down to the city. That was the night that they arrested a shit ton of rioters. And that's the night the rioters really lost to NYPD officers. Because we can swarm. We have a bigger police department than like some countries have armies.
Yeah, we have the biggest, yeah.
But that doesn't, right now, wake up, de Blasio. Wake up, de Blasio. That shit doesn't fucking work.
He's one of the worst mayors in I think in the United States of America.
In history.
In
the history of the universe.
It's true though, yeah.
And hold on, after this, please let's just tear his daughter apart because she's a
Oh, yeah,
complete
yeah.
mutant.
I
my
looked up a
God.
little bit of this executive. So it was executive order on safe policing for safe communities.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't know anything
It's too
that
much.
this says.
It's too much.
I'm
to
sorry.
Just read straight up, but it sounds good. I mean, it says Section 1 purpose. Let's just start off with Section 1 purpose. As Americans, we believe that all persons are created equal and endowed with inalienable rights to life and liberty. A fundamental purpose of government is to secure these inalienable rights. Federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement officers place their lives at risk every day to ensure that these rights are preserved. And then it goes on to say that they basically need to be held accountable for not doing things the right way. And I'm taking liberties here because it's
it's
three
pages and pages. We don't have enough time left on this.
Yeah, it talks about how them not using chokeholds. I mean,
that's the new reform for New York, though, right? That's
this
the
is
Cuomo sign bill.
No, this is
It's the new
Trump's
Trump.
executive
When did this
order.
come out?
Trump's.
June,
thank you. Hold on.
June 16th. I heard it come out.
Yes, okay,
But
so-
that's because I'm deep in political
Yes,
shit
but
all
me
the
and
time.
you have a political podcast, so we know stuff about this. Here
Yeah,
is here. I'm sorry to call you this, but here's your normal Joe Schmo who had no idea Trump signed a fucking executive order on police reform. This is
I just don't listen to any of the media anymore.
I don't. But
I
but
really
at this
don't.
point, I don't blame you.
I'm done with
I don't
it.
blame
I'm
you.
done with it.
Why would you?
I
But
go
you know what?
I go
You're-
on Facebook and I'm like, this is ridiculous at this point. I hate divisiveness. Like I love this country and I just hate it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get through a lot more divisiveness
But
before
yeah,
we come together.
so he signed this in June and
June 16th.
and
It's still
I'm
June.
hearing about it now.
Yeah, it's still
I feel like a
June.
dickhead. I am so sorry. I apologize. I said
Yeah, but people, listen, look, you guys are probably learning this for the first time yourselves too. This is the problem with the media. The president could actually do his fucking job and give the people, give the mob something that they want.
Wanted.
Something that
That's
they want.
ignored.
Police reform. But because he's doing it and it goes against the narrative, fuck that shit.
Yeah, he also brings it upon himself, though. The guy
Yes.
is
No, he does.
lately.
He does.
The guy, and I'm talking about the guy. Trump is unhinged. He has tweeted every day, almost over 200 times. If I was tweeting over 200 times a day, you guys would be like, "Dude, what the fuck is
Yeah.
wrong with you?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Are you having a mental breakdown?" And he's taking shots at people, and I mean, this is good, and I judge everything individually. This is something good. I need to read the whole
Progressive.
thing. And
That's a progressive stance.
I
though,
haven't
if you
read
think
the whole
about it.
thing.
Yeah.
I haven't
But
read
it's
the
a
whole
stance
thing.
that you've been yearning for. It's a stance that you've wanted, and it's not even getting publicized because it's got Trump's name at the
Right.
bottom
It doesn't-
line.
it
But
doesn't
like
fit the
but
narrative.
my point was, he also brings it upon himself. He brings the criticism and the divisiveness upon himself because he's going crazy all the time. I need to
Like
read
I
this
said-
whole thing before I can actually understand it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
skimmed through
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It could be a lot of just, it
blah,
could be a
blah,
lot of
shit.
lip service,
Fluff.
and no actual
Yeah.
anything
And then
happening.
the more like if you go deeper,
yeah,
it's just like it
nothing.
just gets
it's just lip service. Maybe I don't know.
the best
Maybe it's good.
reaction I've ever seen of Trump, and we have to agree with that. He is comical, bro. I laugh at
funny.
this guy. He's funny. When they were Twitter went after him, it's like, "Oh, you're hiding in a bunker? Look at this bitch, this and that." And motherfucker was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to the fucking church and take a picture and do a photo op moment, and just have everybody clear out the way."
Yeah.
Because he's like that, and it's funny. I was just like, he's
I
okay.
don't
but
think
flips-
he's comical. I think he has ego problems. He can't take any
He's a
criticism. And
reality
when he does,
TV star, bro.
Yeah,
he
I
wants the
understand.
drama, dude.
Yeah.
It's all.
Yeah, no.
No,
No,
I
get it.
to be
I
honest
get it,
with you,
but-
I think if we sat down with him, he'd make us laugh. To
Do
be
you
honest
really
with you.
think-
he came out of the bunker and tear gassed everybody and walked across the street to the church because people were talking shit about him.
Yeah.
Not because it was the right thing to do.
It's pretty funny.
But I
Or
just
anything
want
like
I
that.
just want to declare one thing. Like, people really criticized him for that, and I trust me. I understand from the people's point of view. Like, oh, you tear gas the protesters to go take this photo out, blah blah. But what people don't understand, because this is the media did this. The media did this.
We're blaming our cameras.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I want people to understand the media did this. Trump is the president, like it or not, like him or not. He is the most valuable person in America. I don't care who he is. It's just
Poor choice of words, but I understand what you mean.
Obama, during his administration, was the most valuable person in America. George Bush, during his administration...
Let's say important person.
Yeah, okay, the most important person in America. Listen, your entire job is to make sure this man wakes up the next day. So, listen, there was protests going on outside of the White House. Across the country, we were burning buildings to the ground and flipping cars and going crazy. As the Secret Service, you are going to take zero chance that so much as a pebble will fall out of the sky and graze his shoulder. You are not going
that's their job.
Yes. So when they
no political stance.
Right, they have no political stance. It doesn't matter who the president would be. That could have been Bernie Sanders as president.
Yes. Oh, so if Hillary Clinton
they'd have treated her the same.
Yes,
They would
if Hillary Clinton was walking out to go take pictures at that church, I can promise you, with all of my heart, they were going to clear out those protesters one way or another.
They have no political angle. Their job is to protect the president, regardless of good and bad, right? Because the president could be a maniacal fucking lunatic wannabe dictator, and the Secret Service will do what they can to protect him no matter what.
Both of you guys a question. Isn't that the most patriotic job ever?
It's a difficult job.
You do not pick a political stance. Yeah. Your job is the president of the United States, the office.
Well,
is that seat, and you're willing to sacrifice your life for it. That is the most patriotic.
No,
I don't know, man.
I don't think so. I think the most patriotic job is being like a SEAL, or someone going to like actually fight overseas and fight the battle that needs to be had.
Do you know who the Secret Service picks? SEALs and Rangers and paratroopers.
Yeah. Right, but that's not the same job though. They might hire them because those guys
but you're protecting the president of the United States. I agree with Jamie. Office. It's the most patriotic
Okay, so
thing.
say we have a president who... Say we have a Vladimir Putin in disguise who's trying to change the country, become the dictator of America, make it so that he cannot be voted out of office, and the Secret Service.
You mean Barack Obama?
Theoretically, he's out of office, so it didn't happen. Theoretically, this is a theoretical situation. This was happening, and the Secret Service is sworn to serve, and they just continue serving him, and he becomes this dictator. The Constitution is eroded, and the Secret Service continue. Those are patriots. Those guys?
Listen, if America falls because, the president knocked it down, I would change my stance. But
I'm just saying, your view is that they are just going to serve the president no matter what. That's patriotic.
Well, it's the same thing with the military. With the military, though, too, the president has the ability to go to Congress and show Congress, hey, listen, this country is doing these things, and we need to invade them. And it's his decision because he's commander-in-chief, and the military abides by that and follows military law, and they go to battle.
My opinion is it's more patriotic to be disobedient than it is to be blindly obedient.
You're right.
The tree of liberty needs to be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
But from the actual definition of a patriot, that is the most patriotic job you can have.
At its core, a patriot. At its core, and
I disagree.
At its core, in a perfect world, Ortiz is right. But you are correct saying that if we, 2024 comes around and we elect some fucking lunatic tyrant who's going to wipe out the Constitution and like a Vladimir Putin.
Right, in disguise.
Right. And that's when you hope the checks and balances work out.
Well, no, I'm not even saying...
if they didn't?
Look, we're only talking about the Secret Service here.
It's all theoretical.
Right.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
We're theoretically talking about the Secret Service. At its core and its value of what the Secret Service does, Jamie is correct, and I fucking agree with him.
I know what you mean. But they're taking politics out of it.
At your devil's advocate situation, where we have a terrorist as a fucking leader, and people right now will agree Trump's a terrorist, and that's on them, fine. But then I agree with you that being disobedient before the fall of America would be the most patriotic thing.
Let me use the example of our country, right? Our country was a bunch of colonies of British guys, and they had absolutely enough of the fucking King of England. So they were like, English patriots until they weren't. Now we consider them patriots. Why? Because they were disobedient. Their disobedience was patriotic to us. Yeah. That's my point.
Yeah. All right. So,
however, George Washington, as commander-in-chief, had his own guards following him everywhere, which could be the same technical aspect of the Secret Service, because it did gradually turn into Secret Service after all the assassinations. Because isn't it crazy that during the 1800s, with President Lincoln, he didn't have no bodyguards. The guy went up to him and just went.
President Lincoln was tough as fucking nails, though. He used to probably fight people.
He was his own Secret Service.
This is the time when in the White House, people used to go into the house to express their grievances.
But it was.
They also weren't
crazy.
They also weren't like.
They didn't have a nationwide newspaper either, really.
They also you live and you learn.
Yeah.
Those situations of
it's why
Lincoln
you need
getting
the
assassinated.
Service.
Eventually, they're like, all right, we need to make something to stop this from happening.
All right. So we're at about almost an hour and a half here. I don't want to go over, but do you guys have any other topics that you want to talk about? I'm kind of upset we didn't talk about tearing down statues, and I still have my question for the two of you. So you guys tell me what you want to do next.
You could go into the statues. You going? I'm here, man.
I'll go on statues real quick.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go on statues real quick. Let me go on statues
we've been going through topics, but thoroughly.
We're trying.
Yeah.
I'll say that the statue.
Wait, hold on. So context for if you've been living under a rock.
Yeah. Do we need to give context for this?
We've been tearing down statues. It's ridiculous.
Chopping heads off and shit.
Vandalizing.
I feel the statue tearing down has gotten completely out of control.
Yes.
I realized it was absolutely out of control when they went after Theodore Roosevelt for the.
He does have a quote unquote slave with.
They haven't torn down his statue. They're
removing it.
They're removing it. Tearing down and removing it are two different things.
You're talking about the tear down. They're the ones that are torn down.
I'm talking about people. Mobs of angry people come and literally tear down.
Which specific?
I can't wait to go on my tear raid.
All right. I understand people's anger to want to tear down a statue of Christopher Columbus because the guy was a scumbag. Get it? Right?
Agreed.
And I'm Italian, right? But I don't take any sort of pride in Christopher Columbus because he's a scumbag. But recently, people tore down a statue of George Washington. What the fuck? That's like one of the most patriotic people that exist, right? Yes, he was a slave owner, but he freed his slaves at the end of his life. He also spoke out against slavery in a way. I understand there's a little bit of a moral gray area, but in my opinion, that is the guy of our country, and we're tearing down his
truth bomb
statue.
Truth bomb.
We talk about this all the time. It's about being uneducated. Okay.
Truth bomb.
So it's about being uneducated because you know how much I love studying about the American Revolution. During the time of the birth of this nation, the founding fathers knew that slavery was wrong. They all agreed with it.
Not all of them, but most
of
them.
Not all of
them.
The North agreed.
Just the Democrats.
Mainly the North agreed.
Oh, Democrats were the slave owners.
Yes, back it was vice versa. So the North agreed that slavery was an issue. They needed the southern colonies to be alongside them to be progressive with their fight against England, which was a huge empire at the time. So they knew this. They acknowledged it. They didn't ignore it, and they said they wrote it down. In time, this will be coming back up. And when did that happen? The Civil War. Right. They knew it. They knew it.
They weren't perfect, just like America is not perfect, but they were not Dr. Evils.
Yes.
Like I keep saying, they were not all Dr. Evils, but they weren't all Jesus Christs, but they weren't Dr. Evils either. They had their good and their bad. You apparently have something to say here, Cap. So we got about, let's say we're gonna do an hour and 30 here. We got about 10 minutes left.
I still got my final question for you guys.
Let it rip, Cap. Go ahead.
Listen, the whole deal with the statues being torn down, first and foremost, I'm so happy you brought up that people aren't educated, because I can't tell you how many statues of Civil War and civil rights activists that have been immortalized in statues across this great nation. First and foremost, I really hope that wasn't me. It was. Holy shit.
No big deal.
Anyway, first and foremost, listen, if a statue in, Ohio or fucking Virginia gets torn down, listen, I don't want it to be torn down. That's the history of our nation. We need to learn from our history so we don't repeat it. That's why there's a statue of this individual there. Whatever he represents, listen, we didn't have...
I disagree.
Okay, that's fine. We have
I'll play
a
devil's
history.
advocate point.
We have a history of our nation and how it was built, and it was not built perfectly. And trust me, going further, I would love to build it perfectly. That's not an issue. Of course I want it to be perfect. But what it comes down to is people are uneducated. There has been countless statues torn down and vandalized of people who were anti-slavery, people who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, people who fought to free the fucking slaves.
Ulysses Grant
Yeah.
was the commander of the Union Army. The guy in charge of the fight to free slaves. His statue was recently torn down.
People don't understand what a Confederate fully is. Just, these people, yes, lived in this time. And I'm, listen, this is going to be such an unpopular opinion, and I truly, truly, truly mean no offense by this, but you have to understand, back then, people were living a different life. The world was just as live and vibrant and important as it is today to us. And back then, I hate to say it, but owning slaves was like
a commodity.
Accepted.
Yes, was like
it was
you
part
have
of
an
the
assistant
times.
at
Yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah.
You have an assistant at work. Well, back then you had slaves, and there's countless. And I blame our education system too, because there are so many black slaves that were freed and became important members of society that pushed this.
Harriet Tubman.
Yes, that pushed this new agenda. But Harriet Tubman's somebody you know. There's countless other
ones.
There's
100%.
countless other black patriots that were freed,
overwritten,
yes,
not
and
mentioned.
there's countless government officials and governors and presidents.
There should be statues of them.
Yes,
Oh,
you're
100%,
right.
yeah.
And our education system doesn't even talk about this. There's countless, presidents who, when they died, instead of freeing their slaves, what they did when they died, gave their estates and gave all their money to the slaves. You people are freed now. You guys are going to get paid every month through my estate. All you need to do is take care of my estate, and you can live there free. You want to farm this type of vegetable, whatever you want to do, this is your land now. They were free, and yet those statues are still being torn down because the education system in this country is garbage. But my other fucking point on these statues is the Democrats, and like I said, this is I'm really going to be biased this episode. The Democrats are erasing their own history. The Democrats did not want the civil rights movement. The Democrats owned the slaves. The Democrats didn't want to free the slaves. Literally, there's a George Orwell fucking story. It's called, I believe the name of it is called The Party. And there's a quote from it. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book rewritten. Every picture has been repainted. Every statue and street building has been renamed. Every date has been altered. And the process is continuing day by day and minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except the endless present in which the party, the Democratic Party, is always right. If that's not what's going on right now, I can't fucking help you. George Orwell had a fucking time machine. I know he was controversial for his time, but the amount of statues that have been torn down because of slavery and Confederatism and all that stuff, these are Democrats. You have Democrats. You have left-wing extremists. I won't even call them Democrats. Left-wing extremists tearing down members of their history from their party just because they own slaves. They don't even know what they're fucking doing. They don't even know who they hate. They just see a copper statue and you got to be a bad guy. You lived during the time of slavery. You must be the bad guy. Meanwhile, this guy had his name on the Emancipation Proclamation. Meanwhile, this guy freed all his slaves. Meanwhile, this guy, gave these people equal rights. Meanwhile, this guy gave the opportunity to become, higher members in the military during the Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement. Our education system doesn't even touch upon the hundreds of black people who were freed to become members who built this country. You got to realize after slaves were freed, there was a portion of them who helped build this country.
Do, big things.
Yes.
And they're not mentioned.
Yes.
I remember, especially right after slavery was eventually what happened was like Jim Crow laws and things like that. Like eventually they tried to stop that from happening. But right after slavery happened, I know like a lot of the slaves ended up doing really good things. They had like this time after slavery.
There's no education on them at all, and it's despicable. You want to talk about Black Lives Matter? These are the lives that mattered because they helped build this nation. These are the heroes that you should be talking about. Not fucking some rapper or some fucking Instagram influencer or some bullshit. These are the people who made America what it is and what it became. It's not all old white folks who owned slaves. These people were freed and made a difference.
Like, the slaves were freed at the good graces of white people. Mm-hmm. No, it was black people, had a fucking something to do with it, obviously.
You don't.
Yeah. And the history books spin it that way. That it was Lincoln. Lincoln freed the slaves. Okay, he signed a document. He didn't personally go there and undo everyone's handcuffs.
How ignorant.
A lot of slaves just rose up and fought back.
How ignorant is it to think that Lincoln just did this by himself and he didn't have any help from
one person does
at the time the black community or black slaves at the time? How ignorant is it to think that just this one guy who happened to be white fucking changed this for everything? But nobody helped him. Nobody influenced him. He didn't have a right-hand man on the ground, boots on the ground. Are you kidding me? The history books don't talk about that shit.
Let me make a point here. You think maybe that's by design to continue to oppress black people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't give them any credit for don't give them any credit of
for
having,
how many years?
How forced their own hand. No.
Yes.
It was white people who saved them.
I'm so glad you
not
said
black
that.
people. They did nothing. They just that by the good graces of a bunch of famous white people, they've been freed. No,
How racist is that to think that white
people
writes the fucking solely
US
freed the slaves? Let's also bring it back. Who sold the slaves? Their own people. First off, Nancy Pelosi in that little fucking photo op that she did.
The Panda op?
The Panda op, I like
that.
Dude,
when they were sitting over there going Wakanda's forever, bro, in their little scarves, bro. That scarf represents a tribe from Africa that was known for selling slaves. These motherfuckers knew what they were doing. This is why I tell you guys, there's nothing by coincidence. They picked the tribe that sold slaves, and that's who they represented in their Black Lives Matter photo op. Yeah. It's all connected, bro. It's ridiculous.
So conspiracy theory captain is saying that Nancy Pelosi and them are representing the undercover racists that are pushing this thing. They might come out as Black Lives Matter, but really underneath, their neighborhoods are the worst.
Yeah.
No. Their neighborhoods are the ones that minorities have a shitty time living in. They don't do anything to help them. Like, they're an undercover racist organization, I guess you could say.
The Democrats owned the slaves. The Democrats didn't want to free the slaves.
They fought back against civil rights, which was not long ago. That was in the 60s, 50 years ago, and the Democrats fought against it.
Our parents lived
through
it.
You could say the Civil War, that was over 100 years ago.
I like where you're going with this.
Change. Political parties could change their platform, their ideas. The Democrat Party, the Republican Party is just a name.
Yeah.
Right? But your ideals can change over time, especially over 200 years, 100 years, whatever. We're talking about 50 years.
Yeah. The Democrats started the KKK.
Now they're the champion of black people. You know what I mean? You ever see that thing?
And
the King of the Blacks or whatever with Peter Griffin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the Democrats now. What the fuck?
And isn't it
funny? Or if
funny?
you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Thank you. Joe Biden. Quote Joe Biden on that shit.
Fucking nailed it right
Isn't
there.
it amazing that Joe Biden said, if you don't know who to vote between Donald Trump and me, then you ain't black?
Yeah.
And then the black community didn't like that. And then a race war started? Oh, shit. I wonder how that fucking
And like
happened.
I said, dude, to Charlemagne's credit, he's like, I'm not talking about that. He's like, I'm talking about what are you going to do for my community? That's you know what I mean? And dude, Charlemagne didn't get any credit.
No, he didn't.
Whatsoever.
Still to this day.
It was all about Joe Biden and what he said
or
whatnot. Yeah.
Listen, the Democrats are trying to erase their history. Listen, I know I'm really going off the rails on this episode, but just question it. Just research it. First and foremost, the education system's so bad that people don't even know the statues they're ripping down. It's just a statue, okay?
My devil's advocate point to what you said before is of how that's like our history and whatnot. Let's use Germany for example. There's no statues of Adolf Hitler, and they're going to say, well, that was our history, and we should learn from that history. A statue is something we put up to immortalize a person who we should aspire to be like, or learn a lesson from, or hold in as example. Look, this was a great person who's now dead. This statue will be here forever. Other people who are alive should live like this person.
Yeah.
We should not immortalize bad people in statues.
No.
So I am for Christopher Columbus statues getting torn down because he was a piece of shit. I don't give a fuck he discovered the New World.
But George Washington?
George Washington, no. Each statue, each person is an individual,
different
and there should
statues you
be
can go after,
some sort of thought process behind should this statue exist or not. There should not be statues immortalizing bad people, but we need to actually think about, is this a good guy or a bad guy? And like I said before, there's a gray line also between good and bad. Nobody's 100% good, nobody's 100% bad either. But there are people who are really bad.
Yeah.
And there should be no statues.
I think you said with one of them, you were like, to learn the history and so we don't repeat it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with the statues, I mean, dude, the Confederate statues, man, that's not a learning statue. That's a pride statue.
I get you by a pride statue, but the Confederate, if we didn't have to fight the Confederates, we wouldn't be where we are today. This is part of our history.
Yeah, but we don't have to immortalize their leaders as
but
examples.
The reason why they put those statues up is for Southern pride. The people.
I can agree with that.
It was the sisters of the Confederates that actually got the money
together.
I can agree with that.
They idolized Robert E. Lee, and I say this all the time: don't erase history. As much as the Confederates were a rebellion, they were against this country. However, like I always say time and time again, these same guys went to West Point in New York. So
they were Americans,
but
theoretically,
if they put it up to be like this is a history lesson, I can understand that.
Right,
but they didn't. They put it up for a pride, like I follow this guy.
Yes,
and
you also have to take into
account. I can
agree
with that. I can agree with that.
You also have to take into account the three of us don't live in any of those neighborhoods.
Yes,
right, and we ain't black.
That's why I don't give a shit if these statues get teared down.
There's no statue of Robert E. Lee over here in Yonkers, right? It's in
Virginia,
Charlottesville, right, where black people live. How do those people feel about that statue? They're the ones who really matter, and if they don't want a statue there, they're the ones who live there. So who am I to tell them that statue shouldn't be there? That's my
that was one of my first points about this. Like, listen, like, there was some statue in Virginia that they wanted to take down. Like, I don't want them to take it down. Maybe I need to brush up on my history of who this person was that was, immortalized in a statue. But at the end of the day, I might go to Virginia, but I could promise you if that statue was there or not, it wouldn't make my difference in Virginia as well.
I'll use for an example. Yeah. There's a statue of Christopher Columbus on Arthur Avenue. Me and my dad have talked about it several times. My dad doesn't want them tearing down statues, and there's like a guard there at all times.
Yeah, but your dad's a fixture on Arthur Avenue.
Tear that fucking statue down. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my statue. I'm Italian in the neighborhood that I have a connection from. Tear it down.
Yeah, it's like a fucking weird time, bro. You hear this shit, like tearing down statues and shit. However, this is my problem. This is my issue with this whole statue thing. Besides the whole Confederate shit, because I don't believe in that. I just don't think that you should be celebrating what they believed in, because what they believed in was slavery. At the end of the day, they were fighting because
the Democratic
that
Party
was their commodity. That was their economic fucking stability in what they were doing. So I don't believe in that. However, you're tearing down statues. Yes, this is the fucking issue. Nobody's fucking perfect in this world. However, if they do something that's positive for the fucking society and for this country, you need to keep those things up. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. JFK was having orgies in the White House. Okay, so what? Still signed the bill for civil rights that changed the fucking path.
Or like George Washington.
As well. Martin Luther King, he was fucking bitches on the side, and he was married. But he still brought positivity to the black community during the 50s and 60s. So nobody's perfect.
I understand what you mean. No, as I said before,
you're attacking people based off of what their wrongs were. You can't be looking at their wrongs. You have to look at what they brought to society in whole.
Mob mentality, poor education. Okay,
let's go. Let's wrap it up, Cap. Hit us with the question.
So here's my question that I'm going to sit back and listen to the two of you. So, to my understanding, you two are both registered Democrats.
Not by choice.
No. What you are, obviously you're the Democrat of the show, and
I consider myself a moderate. However, I did register as Democrat because
that's fine.
Yeah.
because
That's
of
fine.
fucking Bernie Sanders.
fine.
I'm registered as a Democrat because of gamesmanship. I'm on top of.
I'm not questioning you guys. I'm not
Okay,
questioning
so
you guys.
yes, I'm registered as a Democrat.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Yes, I am too.
Okay. So, with all the crazy shit going on, we're a podcast about current events, and like I said, this is probably going to be one of my most biased episodes. All the craziness we have seen, and I get it, they are extremists, but all the craziness that we've talked about, ripping down statues, the police are almost being forced to go on strike so innocent could be hurt so we could stand up against the mob. Politicians listening to the mob. Democratic politicians letting their cities burn because that's the progressive thing to do, whatever. So my question is, let's take Trump out of the equation because I know you both fall on Trump and say this is why I won't do it, blah, blah, blah. Presidential candidate A and presidential candidate B, because Joe Biden's not much of a better. You got a turd sandwich, and what's the saying?
You could vote for a turd sandwich or a giant douche.
Yeah, turd sandwich and a giant douche. Let's take Trump and Joe Biden out of it. Party lines. We're thinking parties here. So much craziness has gone on through people who claim to be Democrat, right? The riots, the violence against police, the fireworks, all this stuff. What's going to need to happen for you two to walk away? What's going to need to happen? How crazy is it going to get? And I understand if you because like I said in the past, if in 2024 when there's two new presidential candidates, if the Republican candidate looks like an establishment fucking nut job and the Democrats speaking truth, I'll vote for him. I don't give a shit.
So you're saying what is it going to take for us to walk away from the Democratic Party?
Yes.
Go to Republican?
That's not a valid question in my opinion because I'm not part of the Democratic Party. Yes, I'm registered to vote as a Democrat, but that's my point before was only because it's just gamesmanship. I had to register as one party or another in order to vote for, in the New York primaries or the Connecticut primaries, same exact rules. And at the time, during this election, I felt like Bernie Sanders was the best person for the job. So I chose to register for the Democratic Party so I could vote for him in the primaries so that my one vote would maybe help him get a chance to actually become the president.
All right.
Right. That is why I'm a Democrat. So your question doesn't really apply to me because there's nothing I already have walked away. I hate the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
then I have no follow up. I have nothing to follow up.
I'm not gonna join the Republican Party. I'm not a member.
Point
of
one for
party.
me.
So same scenario because we talked about this the whole time. Like you have to choose a side. I thought
because of the rules, not because you want to.
Yeah, it's the rules.
You guys just said some amazing shit. You have to choose a side because of the rules.
Yeah,
that's fucking important shit right there. That's very important shit.
Put it this way.
Not only that, my vote didn't count when I wanted Bernie Sanders.
Yeah,
right?
because Hillary Clinton threw away 250,000 votes.
Essentially,
let's say that again. Hillary Clinton threw away 250,000 votes in New York.
Go ahead, Jamie.
My vote didn't count whatsoever. So I had to. So since he was an independent and went Democratic, I had to register as a Democrat to give him a vote. However, I don't consider myself Democrat. I don't consider myself Republican. I agree if there is a valid point, I will agree with both parties regardless. Yes. I don't believe in sides. If you make sense and it's right, 100%. For me to lean on both sides, we need to. How can I put this? The truth matters, and the further you go from the truth is when you lose me.
And we're really
somebody
moving away
posted
from
up
the
a video from Seattle about the black healing space.
Yes,
A segregation. And you said segregation.
Yes.
Yeah, they
and
segregated it.
Have you ever? Listen, I understand it's 2020 and we're in some new territory here, clearly, because this year has been crazy. But I know it's just three of us sitting at this table, but I would challenge anybody who's listening to us. I would truly challenge anyone on from the edges of Maine to the Southern California tip. I would challenge you to find one black person who sits there and goes, and I'm sorry to say black person, I challenge you to find somebody from the black community who's sitting there going, oh boy, I can't wait for segregation to come back. Like nobody wants segregation. But, you know, this whole CHOP or Chaz, I love it because here's
Let's go with CHOP. It just makes me laugh.
It
reminds me of the salad.
Here's a group of people who are anti-borders, anti-police, anti-guns, and the second they get 6 blocks, 6x6 square blocks, they got essentially 12. They essentially got 12 blocks of a city to themselves. They build a border wall, arm it with guns, create their own police department, and segregate black people from white people. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Are you 2020, baby?
You're
Society has lost its marbles.
You're your own worst enemy. How can you be?
You do it long enough to become the enemy.
Yeah. How can you be so woke that you don't even realize you're just creating segregation?
Yeah.
I've never met a black person who knew what Juneteenth was, and that's a whole nother topic that I wish we could have got on.
I'm pretty sure a lot of them know about that. A lot of them do. It's our faults for not knowing.
You're right.
Because of the education system.
Okay, I'll take that.
I did not know, and however, in school, nobody ever told me about it.
You're right. And
however, that should be a holiday.
Yes, and
because that is a pivotal time in their history.
I have less than zero problem with Juneteenth becoming a holiday, but you cannot tell me that this date is so important that Obama didn't make it a holiday.
That's a good point.
Good point. Valid point. That is a good point.
You can't listen. First off, this became a holiday under the Trump administration. You can't change that.
It hasn't become a holiday yet.
Okay, see, I didn't even know that. No. But you can't.
Businesses were choosing to now create it as a holiday. No government the only government mandate so far has been Andrew Cuomo made state employers recognize it as a holiday, and he promised next year to make it a state holiday. Right? No,
and I'm more than fine with that.
Man, this back and forth
more than
bullshit.
Fine with that. Trust me, I truly am fine with that. But why I never learned about this, why Obama didn't do anything about this, that creates an issue for me. If this was such an important fucking day, and it is an important day, why did it take 155 years for it to become a holiday? Columbus killed all these indigenous people.
And he wasn't even American.
Yeah, and we get a holiday for it. And I have the unpopular opinion about Columbus. I understand where you stand on him. I don't give a shit. I don't even get the day off anymore. So whatever happened back then happened. I understand your viewpoint, and I respect it, and I respect everybody else's viewpoint on it. But for Juneteenth to be such an important day,
I get it.
I don't get it.
Like Columbus, right? Like, it was so long ago, dude. You know, like it.
What?
With Columbus?
You want to get into Columbus now?
No.
It's all going a scathing tirade of him.
But I'm saying, I agree that he was fucked up with a genocidal maniac. However, it's just like these things are so long. However, with the Juneteenth thing, I understand it should be a holiday.
Okay, this is the only point I'm going to make. The Juneteenth thing was part of American history. Christopher Columbus is not American. He has nothing to do with the United States of America, besides the fact that he found
present day United States of America.
He never stepped foot on the mainland of the United States of America. He discovered the Caribbean. He killed people, and that was it. He is not American. He is not. You know what I mean? He's
Native Americans are here first. So
1492 is when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. 1776 is when the United States was established.
Centuries.
300 years later, he has nothing to do with America whatsoever. So,
I think
why do we revere him?
Because
I don't
the Italian American culture.
There's plenty of other Italian Americans that should be respected.
And that's on our education system.
And Christopher Columbus is an Italian American. He's not.
He's not American. He's just Italian.
But that's the thing. You have the Italian American societies where they're like,
right.
Hey,
they don't get it, bro.
We look up to him and we want him as the.
Yeah. So did the Third Reich. They looked up to him
too. You know Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
that name is under fire right now. They might
They
change the
they
entire
are.
name.
They are. I heard it is.
Wow.
I heard
Is
it
the
is.
town named after Christopher Columbus, or Columbus is a very common name?
Dude,
I don't know.
who
Does
the
it
fuck
really
knows?
need to be
No,
changed?
no.
Yeah. Does Aunt Jemima need to be taken off of syrup? Does Uncle Ben need to be taken off of rice? Once we get rid of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, then they're going to say, "Oh, there's no black representation." This is what you're asking for.
They should put Samuel Jackson,
But motherfucking
Rice.
I want him as a statue.
As everything.
All right, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah,
We'll keep
all
going
right.
fucking forever.
This has been a great episode. Ortiz, my buddy, congratulations on episode 50.
Thank you, sir.
Shout yourself out. Let's go, buddy.
Yeah, so I have a podcast called Three Pendejos. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'm a little bit intoxicated, so you gotta forgive me.
You guys did a fucking number on that tequila. Damn.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You could watch us on there. Those are the major platforms that we're on. Also, too, you can follow us on Instagram at Three Pendejos Official. And yeah, that's. Hey, I gotta say something though. Besides all this stuff, fuck the plug-in. What you guys are doing is phenomenal. I always told you guys this, that you can be on both spectrums, but at the same time agree to disagree, and
That's the point.
still walk away being friends. That's nothing better than that. Nothing. There's nothing better than that, and that's what we need. We need more of
That's
this.
what the media won't show you.
And
the media is afraid to show us.
Yeah. And
we only got like 150. Oh, wait, we broke 250 followers. Wow. So we got over 250 followers, but the media won't show us.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like what you guys are doing is fucking phenomenal.
Thank you.
And
Yes. Well, thank you guys too. Java and Justin, you guys helped us. Set this whole thing up. Also,
We're not here without you guys. Doom Production's going to be all of us.
Hey, we're all in it together, man.
Yeah.
That's it. At the end of the day.
All right, so Doom Nation, thank you for listening to us for episode 20. Jamie, thank you for fucking showing up.
Thank you for having
Unlike
me.
this Antifa piece of shit Zoo over here.
He's still here.
Yeah, I know. He
He's
didn't even
just
have any
quiet.
fucking tequila, this
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah, he was just admiring the conversation and just dressed all in black. You
Just
can't see
sitting
him right
here,
now. But
all in black, scratching his vagina.
Go ahead, Cap. Sign us off.
All right, so you could find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iTunes. Check us out on Instagram, @2doomedmen_podcast. Give us a follow, give us a like, share us to your friends, comment on us. We love talking to you. I was so excited. We got our first hater last weekend. Let's fucking keep it going, people. Let's keep it going. All right? On Facebook, 2 Doomed Men. Twitter, 2 Doomed Men. And YouTube, 2 Doomed Men. Check us out on any of them. Subscribe, like, share. Please talk to us. We love to hear your comments. We will comment back. Trust me. Bring on the hate. I enjoyed watching some guy scream at Skaggs.
Yeah,
for
I
no
had
reason.
a scathing response written, and I held back. I didn't.
well,
I kept the safety
congratulations on your first hater, though.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's great news.
Big time, baby. Big time.
You
I was
gotta
thinking
go.
going
Yeah,
forward,
that's it.
Kat, maybe we'll write in the description who wrote it. You know what I mean? Like, whose viewpoint is this? You know, if I wrote the post, I'll write Skaggs. If you did write...
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I almost kind of wanted to comment that guy, but I didn't want to be like, oh, this is the captain speaking. And I also didn't want to, give this hate or anything else. But to our YouTube channel that's videotaping this, cheers, boys.
Cheers.
It's
Cheers.
been a
Hey,
pleasure.
Thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate it.
And we're out. Have a good night, Doom
Later.
Nation.
Later.